I study why certain products get culturally adopted without changing anything about themselves. And this year gave me one of the strangest cases yet. Because Diet Coke didn't reinvent itself, a supply chain problem and an old joke did the work instead. How Diet Coke became the internet's favorite drink. Diet Coke isn't new. It wasn't reformulated. It didn't become cheaper. It didn't launch a revolutionary campaign. So why in 2026 are people bar hopping for it, wearing merchandise for it, and buying it in glass bottles at triple the price? Because Diet Coke stopped being a drink, it became a symbol. Act 1, a drink nobody cared about. Diet Coke, launched in 1982, built for people who wanted the Coca Cola taste without the sugar. For decades, it lived in the shadow of the original, reliable, present in every office fridge, but never culturally dominant. A default choice, nobody built an identity around it. Then, sometime in the last 2 years, the joke that would define its comeback was born. Act 2, the joke that wouldn't die. In the summer of 2025, a TikTok creator nicknamed her cold diet Coke a crispy ciggy, the drink standing in for a cigarette break, a little pocket of a moment stolen for yourself in the middle of a hard day. The nickname stuck. Fridge cigarette became one of the internet's most recognizable Diet Coke memes. Then, this July, Coca Cola released a new logo font, and the internet immediately noticed it. It looked eerily close to the lettering used by Marlboro. The fridge cigarette joke, which should have faded a year in, got a second wind purely because the brand's own rebrand accidentally leaned into it. That's the first sign something unusual was happening. The meme was outliving the news cycle that created it. Act 3. Then the supply chain did the rest. In April 2026, Diet Coke supplies in India started drying up. The shortage traced back to disrupted aluminium can shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Amid regional tensions, a purely industrial problem with nothing to do with marketing. Empty shelves hit Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Pune, and instead of shrugging it off, young consumers turned it into content. Panic buying, memes, and themed Diet Coke parties springing up across cities. Coca Cola brought back 200 ml glass bottles to cover the can shortfall, selling at roughly triple the previous can price, and people bought them anyway. Scarcity didn't hurt the brand, it became the brand's biggest storyline of the year. Act 4, from drink to wardrobe. By June, the trend had left the fridge entirely. Diet Coke merchandise became a genuine streetwear moment. Oversized graphic tees reading "In my Diet Coke era," embroidered hoodies with slogans like Diet Coke Social Club, all leaning into Y2K nostalgia rather than corporate branding. This wasn't a licensing deal Coca Cola orchestrated. It was fan led, independent sellers and streetwear labels building product around a soda can's aesthetic because the demand was already there. Around the same time, a new social ritual emerged, the Diet Coke Crawl. Groups of friends hitting multiple restaurants, drive throughs, and convenience stores in an afternoon, rating the Diet Coke at each stop. Bar crawls, but for a diet soda. The format spread across cities purely through people copying the videos. Act 5, the real product. Think about the pattern. Red Bull sold energy, Nike sold belief, Rolex sold status, Diet Coke in 2026 sold a shared inside joke, a scarcity story people got to participate in, and a nostalgic aesthetic they got to wear. None of that required Coca Cola to do anything except exist while the internet built a mythology around it. The can didn't change, the story wrapped around it did. The closing. The biggest marketing wins of 2026 didn't happen in a boardroom. A font accidentally echoed a cigarette brand. A shipping route got disrupted on the other side of the world, and somehow both turned into reasons to buy more soda. Because once the internet decides something is worth talking about, the brand doesn't have to convince anyone anymore. People stop buying the product, they start buying the story they get to be a part of.